Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers at the voice of college football. I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Gabriel Pickup, and we have a great show here for you tonight. First, we're going to start, as always, with the pickup dates. Then we're going to talk about those CBS sports rankings. And then finally, in our third segment, we're going to talk about the 5 things that Rutgers needs to avoid this year to have a successful season. And we're just a week and a half out from the first game against Ohio, so it's an exciting time and an exciting show. Gabe, take us away.
Absolutely. So my first pickup date, it's an unfortunate one. Adam, do you have your phone near you by chance?
I sure do.
Can you turn on the flashlight mode real quick?
Yes, I certainly can, if I can figure it out, because it's a new phone. I got it a few months ago, but I still don't know how it works. But I'm going to try. There we go.
Got it?
Flashlight.
Great. I need you to keep that thing on because, man, we lost a brother this past week. My beloved dog, Rocky, has left this world and entered another, and I am still grieving from it. You may have seen him on this show before or heard his whimpers to go outside or eat food. Was a 15-year-old German Shepherd. We got him with his twin sister, Jasmine, who passed in April of 2024. Rocky really had that Shiano grit that embodies this new culture of Rutgers so well. And so this show today is going to be conducted with a heavy heart.
Yeah, Gabe, very, very sorry to hear about the loss of Rocky. As someone who's owned several pets and lost them, it's a really heartbreaking thing. So heart goes out to you. This show is dedicated to Rocky. And Rocky, we hope you're someplace in heaven better, looking down on us and cheering for the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, he was a real one up until the very end. So just had to fit that in there. But on to some – well, this isn't even really football news. This is really all I got. It's just counting down the 10 days until football. That's how much we have left until Rutgers football, at least. So with that being said, let's kick some Bobcat butt, some Red Hawk rear, some Norfolk State stank, some Iowa Hawk booty, some Golden Gopher golden tush, some Washington Assington, some Duck Dumper, some Purdue Purduty, some Illinois Wipin Illini, some Terrapin Tusharoo, some Buckeye Bunions, and some Nittany Lion Load.
I love it. And I'm going to love it more, Coach Shiano, when you come on the show. Now, it's been a long off season. Now, we're heading into our first game. This is the show that is about Rutgers football. We need you on the show, Coach. We're looking forward to having you sometime, someday, somewhere.
And you know what? We're going to have to wait until the offseason for that.
Hey, you never know. Coach Shiano, he can be unpredictable, but whatever he does, Coach and Scarlet Knights football, we are so excited to support you this year and excited for what's going to be really a memorable season. So, Gabe, you want to take us into our second segment, which is the CBS Sports Rankings. I'm so curious who CBS thinks is the number 1 team in the country.
So I think we're being disrespected here big time. You let me know what you think. I'll give our ranking.
I feel disrespected generally, yes.
I'll give a little bit of like the 5 or 6 teams ahead of us, the 5 or 6 teams behind us. I'll dive into the bottom of the pit, and then I'll climb back up to the top.
Okay.
So there are 137. Let me double check. I believe that's right. 136 FBS D1 teams that are in consideration. Where would you predict that we are?
Where would I predict that we are? Out of the 137?
136.
All right. I'm gonna say that we are probably 42.
You're not going to be happy.
I wasn't happy anyway, so just pile it on me.
63rd.
No, that is ridiculous.
I know.
We are not the 63rd. Athan, you should be furious about this. DT, you got to get on that field and you got to start running over people, okay, and having the star-studded you're going to have to prove these naysayers wrong. And the same goes for you folks on defense, okay? The transfers that are coming in, Bradley Weaver, Doug Blue, Eli, Cam Miller, Jet Elon from the great city of Las Vegas. You guys should take offense at this, okay? Because this is good old-fashioned bull, you-know-what.
Bull hive, bull jive, whatever it may be. I just don't get how you fix the side of the football that was hurting you last year in the defense, make it your whole identity, and get about the same in offense with a returning senior quarterback. And you're not even in the top 50 when you have 2 straight winning seasons?
Yeah, CBS, I think he got this one wrong because if you look at our quarterback, he's coming back from pretty good year. He's going to be he's grown. He's going to be solid this year. We've got 3 solid running backs, if not 4. A much deeper wide receiving core, particularly with the addition of DT Sheffield. We have a good tight end and an offensive line well together is going to be special. And that defense has size and speed on the defensive line, which they didn't have last year, more depth, and a secondary that can be lights out if we get pressure on the quarterback particularly. So 63 nonsense. It's ridiculous.
Last year, we had longer beam, Eric Rogers, but this year we have like four guys in the secondary that are key players, every single possession. But with that being said, and the thing is, like, sure, it's the players on the field that make the difference, but it's the guys off of it that execute the plays that the guys on the field run. And we have one thing that, there's 136 teams. I'll say he's a top 25 coach in Coach Schiano. So, yeah, BS. Do you want me to list some teams ahead real quick that'll make you even more mad?
Yes, but before you do that, I don't think Schiano is a top 25 coach. I think he's a top 10 coach. And 63, you're telling me we're right around the 50th percentile of teams? That is utter nonsense. And I'm not sure if I want you to tell me who's ahead of us because I'm afraid you're going to say something like Appalachian State, and then my night's going to be ruined.
No, you know what? The worst part about this is, no offense to the guys below, but like you have you have Maryland 67, you have Toledo 69, UTSA 71, UConn 76. Anyways, above us, Michigan State, who we beat 41-14 last year. JMU, who we stole 2 players from and an assistant.
Are you serious?
Yeah, JMU is 61. Virginia.
Come on, give me a break. We would defeat James Madison by 21 to 28 points. And Jason, you're 100% right. Good to see you, Jason. Preseason rankings don't matter. Just win, baby, and that's it. Next Thursday night, Shea Stadium is where it's at, kicking off the season for Rutgers. They got to be on their game because Ohio's not going to just roll over.
Nah. And, Texas State 59, Kentucky 57. Kentucky, they've had some decent players. NC State 55. I just can't get behind it.
A lot of those teams are teams that are very hard to rank because and I see Pit Snipe Husker here. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Rutgers was ranked 63.
Out of 136. And some teams that are right below us. Oklahoma State 64, West Virginia 65, Boston College 66. I'm very surprised.
So a lot of these teams are hard to rank because they're like kind of these like ambiguous teams that each year in, year out, they win enough games to be considered, legitimate and competitive, but they don't really contend for the playoffs. So there's this huge bunch of teams like Boston College, like West Virginia.
Yeah.
That,
my God. You want to know where Ohio's ranked? They're ranked 90.
Ohio is ranked 90. So next Thursday night, number 63 versus number 90.
Let's see where Norfolk State and Miami of Ohio are.
Norfolk State is probably ranked 136.
This is unbelievable. I'm scrolling up. I haven't seen them yet. They might not be ranked, honestly. Yeah, they can't be ranked. Okay, they're not ranked. So that means
are they Division One, like
they must be D1 but FCS or something. I think they're FCS.
Well, I think Jason O said they have a good band. It may have been him who said it. So
the team in last place. Do you want to take a guess at that?
The team in last place. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Purdue.
You said Purdue? Purdue is surprisingly, they're not last. They are 92nd. So it's a team that you probably don't even think has a football team. It is. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm going to guess that it's Prairie View.
Prairie View. Are they even? I think they might be FCS because I haven't seen them. It's not them. It is Kent State.
Kent State. Oh, interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. Jason O says Michael Vick is Norfolk's coach. Jason O, I had no idea about that. Thanks for letting us know. Michael Vick, as you know, guys, former Florida State's quarterback, went on to play, and have a very solid NFL career apart from, unfortunately, some personal issues with the regarding animal abuse. But regardless, he was a great quarterback. So it's interesting to see that he's coaching at Norfolk State. That could bode well for that football team.
Jets legend right there.
Yeah.
When you think of Michael Vick, the first team you think of is certainly the New York Jets.
I'm sorry. You know what, Jason? Oh, you're right. Vic played at Virginia Tech. That's my bad. I was thinking of the reason I said Florida State is because I remember Virginia Tech played Florida State in the national championship game back maybe, I don't know, in the early mid-90s or something. So I confused the two. But yeah, Virginia Tech, a product of Blacksburg and I think Frank Beamer.
You know who's 135 is UMass. Akron 134, Ball State 133, Kennesaw State. Charlotte is 130, which surprises me. And, because it's in my backyard right now, unfortunate because one of my best friends, certainly in Pennsylvania and everywhere now, he goes to Temple, and Temple is ranked 127. Brutal.
Temple, well, yeah, I mean, I think that there's like the way these rankings shape up make it seem like you got your elite teams, but then you got a really large number of teams in the middle of the pack. And I would say going from probably 40 to 90. And so I don't think the distinctions there are incredibly significant, but I do think it's surprising that Rutgers is 63. I think that reflects a typical bias towards Rutgers historically, rather than a incisive examination of their actual team this year. So I take that with a grain of salt.
Because when you see us chirping at the rankings, people will be like, "Oh, that's cute," But we'll just have to wait and see. I think it pretty much says a lot about the University of Temple, or Temple University rather, that they're basically the football school of Philadelphia, and they can't get higher than 127.
Well, but think a lot about what you just said, though. You said they're the football school of Philadelphia, and it's just kind of like, well, when I think of Philadelphia, I think of Rocky, and Rocky.
I love a dog.
Well, and that's who Rocky, may rest in peace. I think of Rocky, Rocky II, Apollo Creed, University of Pennsylvania, and cheesesteaks.
So you're telling me that when you think of Philadelphia, you don't think of the defending Super Bowl champs and their sport football?
I was thinking about it in the college football context, but of course, the Eagles with that defensive line list are unbelievable. Jason O, looking forward to a new era of Temple football with new coach Casey Keeler. Hey, Jason, I hope they do. Always love to see teams that historically haven't been powerhouses really come in and contend. So we wish our best to Temple, of course.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's going to be a surprise this year with Rutgers. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win 9 or 10 games, but I'm not going to relegate them to 63 in the country. Like I said, I think 42 was a more realistic.
You remember the whole drama with Nico Yamaliava and Tennessee and UCLA?
How could I forget Nico? Nico's now a Bruin at UCLA.
Guess where they are? They're 49. They did all that just to barely move into the top 50.
Because they have no defense. UCLA.
They're one spot ahead of Navy. And Colorado, without Travis Hunter, without Shador, they're down to 46 now. They're behind Tulane. Crazy.
You have to give it to the men and women who serve in the military. Think about this. You go to Navy, and the curriculum and the demands of a Navy education are so difficult, yet they still manage to be a respectable football program. Credit to the folks at Navy and to all of our servicemen and women.
You think they're better than us, though?
I think it would depend on where we played them. If we went at Navy, I think we'd lose. I think if they came to us, we'd win. Does Navy still do the option?
What, of home or away?
Does Navy still do the option offense? Because I think it was Navy.
Not sure. I would have to rewatch.
I know the Citadel does because they came to Alabama a few years ago and there was 10-10 at the half and they were flummoxing the Crimson Tide defense with that option. But anyway.
Yeah, so they are 50. What what's interesting is Florida State 2 years ago, undefeated record, snubbed only because of injury from the playoffs. Now they are 41.
Florida State is an interesting, at least in the last few years. So, yes, they were snubbed from the playoffs, but I think there was at least an understandable reason why, because their starting quarterback was injured. But then so many players opted out against Georgia, and I think it was like 66-7 or something. Then last year, I don't know what happened last year. I suspect they'll be more improved, but I think the real barometer of where Florida State's at is going to come when you see them play the Crimson Tide in Tallahassee to open the season.
Yeah, 100%. So moving on, we have, let's see, Iowa ranked 30. Indiana, after that incredible season, ranked 23. Let's see, Texas A&M 18. South Carolina 16, Michigan 15. You know who's in front of Michigan? Illinois.
Yeah. So, the way I see it with Illinois, Illinois is going to have one of their best years in a long time. Luke Altmaier is a legit quarterback.
Yeah, he is.
They have a good receiving core. I think Illinois is going to be very tough this year. And where was Indiana? Indiana was 23. Indiana had, a magical season. A little bit disappointing, though, in South Bend, and I think Signetti would agree. They just didn't play up to their potential, but really still a great year. But when it comes down to the Big Ten, I think where we're going to struggle is when I think of Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, at Illinois, at Washington. I mean, there's so many perilous games, but that doesn't mean that we can't win some, even most of them. It's going to depend on the intangibles. And I think Pitt-Snipe-Husker had a comment that we were 2 spots ahead of, I believe that was finished 2 spots ahead of the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. Now, interesting, Nebraska last year in Lincoln, a 14-7 victory over a mistake-prone Rutgers, and a Rutgers team that could not get in the end zone from the 3-yard line on 4 straight plays.
Yeah.
The Nebraska Cornhuskers bring back Dylan Raiola, and a team you never want to count out. I think Nebraska improves this year and could crack the top 25.
I don't know. Personally, I'm not really a Dylan Ravioli believer, but to each their own.
I'm not I don't have an opinion either way at this point. I want to give him one more year, but
I think everyone thinks just because he looks like Patrick Mahomes that he plays like Patrick Mahomes, when that's not really the case.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see if they switched spots. Mahomes plays a game for Nebraska, and Raiola plays one for the Chiefs.
I thought you were going to say Mahomes plays like Dylan Raiola.
No, the thing about Mahomes is he's just a rare special talent, and his arm is just incredible. But I digress.
So going back to these rankings, it's crazy to me that Illinois is above Michigan, because when you think of the Big Ten, you think, Ohio State, you think Penn State, and you think Michigan. And, you don't think of Illinois in that same breath. Right.
Well, on that point, and by the way, Austin, I agree, they need to avoid complacency. Pitt-Snipe-Husker makes a great point that Rutgers has to go 5-0 to begin the season for people to start believing. And for us to do that, Pitt-Snipe-Husker, we've got to beat the Hawkeyes in New Jersey in the fourth game of the season.
Number 30 team. Yeah, that would give us a chance at being ranked.
Yeah. So, complacency, I think, is what he meant, yes.
It's interesting, too. You guys, your team, the New York Giants, got Cam Skattebo, who a lot of people assumed was Arizona State's entire offense, but without him, they're still ranked 11.
Skattebo is an absolute stud. I don't know how he's going to translate to the NFL, but let me tell you something. In that Texas game, this guy's thrown up on the sidelines, coming back into the game and giving his heart and soul. That's the kind of person and player you want on a team. Welcome to the Giants.
250 yards rushing.
He was a warrior, and just nothing but admiration for him.
All right, so you ready for this top 10? So
I'm not sure if I'm ready, because I'm afraid there's going to be a team there that's going to make my blood pressure go through the roof, but why not?
There will be one, in my opinion, and that's just because of the Garrett Nussmeier effect. So Number 10 is Miami, but I thought it said Miami of Ohio. I was ready to lose my mind. Imagine that.
So Carson Beck and his friends are ranked number 10.
Do you think that he'll be a sufficient replacement for Cam Ward?
I think that he's a bit enigmatic. And what I mean, I guess, is he has the potential to do great things, but he also has the potential to be mediocre. And I've often thought that a lot of the issue with him is his mindset. Like Alabama was a perfect game last year. The first half, he was terrible. The second half, he was lights out. So if he can be consistent and play up to his potential, but again, does Miami have a defense this year? I don't know.
Yeah, number 9. I think it's, like I said, I think it's the Nussmeier effect. It's LSU at number 9. Everyone's saying Nussmeier's like, you know, he could win the Heisman this year. I think no chance, but everyone loves him as a pick if it's not Arch Manning or Drew Aller or something.
Nussmeier, again, Alabama last year, he had a terrible game, and against USC last year was inconsistent.
Yeah.
So, again, he's another one like Beck where he has the potential for greatness, but often struggles with consistency. But, hey, it's a new year. Maybe they've grown. We'll see how it goes. But what I think justifies LSU being at number 9 is I suspect they will have a much, much improved defense.
Yeah. Just looking at what Jason
oh, yes. Miami is going to be good this year, but I think I'm not sure if I still have a few questions about Carson Beck and their defense, but we'll see.
What I want to know is Mo Toure starting as linebacker in Miami?
It better be. What the hell did he transfer for? Mo, what were you thinking, Mo?
Mo, we miss you.
Jabome is sitting there saying, "Where's Mo?" No, but we wish Mo the best of luck, of course. 4
years at Rutgers through those treacherous first 2 years is no joke.
Yeah, Mo, best of luck to you, buddy. Good luck with the Hurricanes.
Number 8, Alabama.
Oh, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I think that's too low for Alabama. I think
they did not make the playoffs last year, though some argue they should have.
They didn't make the playoffs, but this year I think you're going to see a much improved Alabama team, particularly on defense with those cornerbacks who were true freshmen last year. Really, I think they've grown a lot, especially with the game experience they've had. They still have Ryan Williams and Ty Simpson just named the starter at Alabama. So I think Alabama is a team to watch. I would probably have them at number 6, but hey.
I think if they couldn't make the playoffs last year with a second-year Jalen Milroe, I don't think they'll make it this year necessarily. And I know it's not live or die by the quarterback, but in college football, it seems to matter a lot more.
I think one of the issues last year was that Jalen Milroe Jalen Milroe is an interesting player because he can do things that other players can't. But in some ways, I think he limited DeBoer's offense because he's still growing as a passer. But one thing about Milroe is he's impressing people on the Seahawks, and I think Alabama, at 8 or at 6, they're going to be in the mix for the playoff.
And by the way, Milroe is my dark horse best quarterback out of last year's bunch.
I mean, if you look at him against Georgia in the first half, he was unbelievable. If you look at him against LSU, he ran over LSU. Yeah. But then you have issues against Oklahoma and Tennessee. So,
but you know who else has had a down year after having a year of promise in college football? Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. And that is the mold I see of Jalen Milroe.
Oh, that's a really good point. Jalen Hurts, benched in the national championship game against Georgia, sits on the bench when Tua, replaced him, then goes to Oklahoma and under Lincoln Riley has a
solid, not spectacular year there.
Yeah, Jalen Milroe and Jalen Hurts have one thing in common. They have really resilient and tough mindsets. And
I thought you were going with their name was Jalen.
Well, that's true, actually.
You said one thing in common. But number 7 is Oregon.
I am not a duck, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not a duck. Oregon always has this high-flying offense, and last year they had a better defense. But, when they go up against the elite teams in the playoffs, they typically always lose, and we saw that in the Rose Bowl last year. So Oregon, yeah, they'll be very good, but I think they're a playoff contender, and then they're going to be or they'll be in the playoffs, but get knocked out.
Yeah, I mean they'll make the playoffs. They typically do. It'll be interesting with Dylan Gabriel now gone to see how that offense functions. Number 6, coming off of a championship runner-up year, is Notre Dame. I think that might be a little too high, even though they had a great year last year.
Well, here's what I would say about Notre Dame. Who's their quarterback?
Notre Dame.
Angeli's gone.
I should know this. Hold on.
And Riley Leonard's gone.
I swear, because I do the graphics and isn't it?
I'm always a little bit hesitant.
CJ Carr, he's a freshman.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit hesitant when a team is adjusting to a new quarterback, especially a true freshman. But I think Ohio State's got Julian Sayin at the helm this year.
He's a redshirt freshman, and and Cal just appointed. Oh my God, crazy name! I'm going to call him JKS. They just named him as starting quarterback.
Who did?
Cal, University of California, and they named him starting quarterback over that Ohio State transfer, who's now a senior.
Wow, that's interesting. Although I must object on the grounds of relevance when we talk about Cal Berkeley, because I declare them irrelevant to college football because they're always mediocre.
Number 5 is
I love it. Moving on.
Number 5 is who a lot of people year in, year out will say they should be the title favorites. This year, not so much. Very prone to car incidents, automobile incidents, and that is the University of Georgia.
Yeah, so I live about an hour and a half from Athens, and big time Georgia fans there, very intense fans. I think this year Kirby Smart's going to have a team that seriously contends for a spot in the national championship game. I think last year was a very disappointing year for them, especially that avoidable loss to the Irish, which turnovers, letting second half kickoff return. So I think they're going to be tough this year, but I'm not sold on them any higher than 5.
No.
Cal does have a cool stadium, Jason O, and Berkeley is a cool place.
Number 4, I know I keep disrespecting a lot of these top 10s, but number 4 also very much surprises me, and that is Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson is going to have a great year this year.
I think Cade Klubnik is a fantastic quarterback, but does he have enough around him? Because they're usually an offensive school, at least in recent history. Is that a big enough offense to be the number 4 ranked college football team? I guess time will tell.
I think Clemson this year, I mean, they haven't been they haven't been elite the last few years, but I think this year they've got the talent. I think Clemson is going to have a defense that's going to be lights out. They're just a loaded team this year.
If their defense is lights out, then book them for a spot in the Natty because their offense is their identity.
I don't like their uniforms.
I do, because I grew up in Croton-on-Hudson, New York, home of the Croton Tigers, and our uniforms looked very similar to theirs. Number 3 is, guess what? So you know the top 3 is at this point, right?
I'm going to. I'm certain I know 2 of them.
Who are the 2?
It has to be Texas, Ohio State.
One more.
I don't know why this is eluding me.
It shouldn't be. They're in our conference.
Texas, Ohio State, and I'm sorry, I'm not.
We play them this year.
Texas, Penn State.
Yeah. So what would your order be of those 3?
That's a great question. And my answer is I don't know, because I would right now have Clemson at 1.
1. That is a bold
Clemson
take.
is a preseason 1. I as far as Texas goes, there's 2 things that bother me about Texas. And I have a ton of respect for Sark, but Arch Manning has not played a tremendous amount of snaps. So before we anoint him the next best thing, Let's see how he develops. I'm sure he's going to be elite, but again, he's not a seasoned quarterback. And to me, Texas has that Texas thing sometimes where they just don't play to their potential and they lose games that they shouldn't, like they did in the playoff against Washington.
They should not. Arizona State should not have been a close one either. They were one play away, and if there wasn't a 20-yard touchdown, they lose that game.
Yeah, I think Clemson is in my preseason number one. But if I had to order them right now, it would be, of those three, it would be Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 3 is Ohio State. Number 2 is Penn State, though, and number 1 is Texas.
Yeah, I mean, Texas has, of course, has the talent, but I just don't. We'll see what happens in Columbus on week 1.
With Ohio State, it's really just the freshman quarterback thing. I mean, the whole team is like foolproof when you look at it up and down. Even with losing almost their entire offense outside of Jeremiah Smith this past year, it's still top to bottom an amazing roster. I think Texas should be the favorites because you're right. Arch Manning hasn't played too much college football, but when he has played, fans have said that he should be starting over Quinn Ewers because for instance, there was a game earlier last year, I forget who, but I want to say it was around week 3 or week 4. It was right after I placed a bet for Quinn Ewers to win Heisman that he went down for a couple of weeks. Arch Manning steps in, and fans are saying that he's better than Quinn Ewers. And now Quinn Ewers is dominating preseason games with the Dolphins. And look, I just think Texas is very much overdue for a national championship. They've been relevant for quite a few years now, and building on last year, transferring realms from a NFL-ready quarterback to a future NFL superstar quarterback. I think they're ready.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to be a very interesting game in Columbus. But Arch Manning played at Newman High School in New Orleans, so that's a good high school, but not the elite competition like an IMG or a Mater Dei. And I mean no disrespect to him, but I have to see more to be convinced, and that'll probably happen. But I'm taking a wait and see approach on Texas, but Ohio State too. I'm taking a wait and see approach because they lost so much on offense. There is a sleeper team though that are not mentioned in these rankings. A sleeper team that's going to shock everyone that I think could surprise a lot of people this year, and it comes from the state of Alabama.
Auburn.
Yes.
They're ranked 32.
Watch out for Auburn.
Jackson Arnold is no joke. I like Jackson Arnold.
Yeah. So we'll see.
It's crazy to me that they really value the returning quarterback aspect, and yet we're only 63 because Penn State at number 2, and I mean this with no disrespect to Penn State, how are they better than Ohio State?
I don't know because Ohio State went to Happy Valley last year and apart from an early 10-0 deficit, dominated the game and really contained Drew Aller. But
they exposed Oregon.
Yeah, and they could. And you know what? Give Ohio State 2 more seconds, and they may have beat Oregon in Eugene because I think it was the quarterback slide at the end when the clock ran out.
Yeah. And that just them having that great year last year really adds fuel to their fire of Michigan 2023 scandal.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when I think about last year because if you go back to November of 24, Michigan goes into Columbus and beats Ohio State after a very mediocre year. I think the reason I think what that shows is, man, anything can happen in college football, so it's hard to predict. But I think Michigan isn't ranked in the top 10 because they've got a true freshman at the helm in Bryce Underwood, who it really looks like a generational talent. But
I mean, people are already saying that he could be another freshman to win Heisman, similar to Manziel.
Yeah, that's what they said about Jimmy Clausen at Notre Dame back in the 90s.
Mel Kiper put his career on the line for Jimmy Clausen.
Yeah, well, I would say another team to watch out for this year, ironically, despite Nico leaving, is Tennessee.
Yeah, they swapped quarterbacks with UCLA. Didn't they get Joey Aguilar?
Yes.
And Joey Aguilar is arguably a better quarterback despite the drama.
It's going to be an amazing college football season. It's going to be exciting week in, week out.
One more surprise I have, despite my hatred for the man in football at least, is Bill Belichick's North Carolina squad is ranked 54th.
Okay, well, a couple things. I don't know why everyone hates Belichick so much. Maybe it's probably information I don't know, but apparently he's not well liked among coaches. But I think he's going to inherit a roster that it just is not there yet. But I also think he's going to have to adjust to college football coaching. It's going to be a transition.
It's true. He's really since the Brady era started, he wasn't really all that good with the young players. He was more of a veterans guy. Obviously, he had a big front office role in New England too, and oftentimes they would trade for the star receiver, the star defensive guy. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays into effect in terms of NIL. Like, is he just going to go after seniors every year? Is he going to get freshmen and try to develop them into stars? It'll be interesting.
Well, I'm interested to see how he adjusts to college football coaching, because in the NFL, you don't have to worry about NIL, transfer portal, all that stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, so that is the CBS Sports rankings. Very interesting rankings. I won't say they're the worst I've ever seen. I do think they're disrespecting us a lot, though.
Agreed.
And we'll just have to prove them wrong.
Yeah, and Pitt Snipe Husker, you're 100% right. Clemson starting with LSU should tell us a lot. And that's these opening week games are going to be something. Alabama, Florida State, Texas, Ohio State, and, of course, we start off with Ohio.
And Donovan versus Florida.
Who?
Donovan versus Florida.
Yes, our co-host, our fantastic co-host, Donovan Gibbs, a offensive lineman from Long Island University, opens the season in Gainesville against the University of Florida.
Who is ranked 12th on this list?
12th. Jason thinks UNC will be decent this year, but pretty good in 26. I would agree with that. I think that Belichick is going to make them a very competitive team. And 26, I think they'll be very legit.
You don't think that Bill is going to come in and have the Deion Sanders effect where everybody wants to play for him? Players kind of outperform in his presence. You can't really see that for year one, Jason?
That's a good question. I think he's going to have the Bobby Knight effect. And what I mean by that is when Bobby Knight left Indiana, he went to, I believe it was Texas Tech, and he really turned around that basketball program. And it was kind of like, where great coaches go, they typically always improve the team substantially. I think Belichick will probably do that. I think Jason is right.
It'll be interesting to see if he fulfills his contractual obligations in North Carolina, because every year a team is going to want him in the NFL.
Yeah, it's going to be I don't know how that's going to play out. Yeah,
it'll be kind of similar to Jay Wright when he started.
Weird. It's weird to see like a 5-time or 6-time Super Bowl winner go back to college. I don't think I've seen. I mean, it's happened. I know Pete Carroll, came to SC, but I just don't know if it's a fit for him. But hey, we'll see.
Hey, basically, North Carolina needs to treat him like the athletic director if they want him there long term.
I bet he has complete control, not only over the football program, but over the entire school.
Over the budget, over the funding, over the
Yes. I bet you he can walk on campus, and if he sees a student that he's just like, I don't think I would like that student, they expel him.
He gets control over what? Over Duke, over South Carolina.
Yeah,
over Charleston, over Chattanooga, Coastal.
Any university in neighboring states.
Yeah. All right, so shall we move on to?
Yeah, excellent segment. So our last segment of the night, pretty much to the point. What are the 5 things that Rutgers needs to avoid this year? And to have a successful season. Now, we've talked about things they have to avoid. They got to avoid injuries because, depth can be an issue. They've got to avoid turnovers, all that stuff. But we want to talk about some of the more, intricate things that we haven't really talked about previously. So, Gabe, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, Pit Snipe Husker right on the money with that comment. So my number one thing to avoid, if we're doing this in order, in that case, I guess I'll do my number 5 thing to avoid. And this is kind of a niche thing, but Schiano needs to trust his coordinators because we've heard in interviews over this offseason during spring practice, coordinators say, Schiano has yelled at us for doing something wrong. And that's my thing is how do you know it's wrong if you hire a coordinator to give his input offensively, defensively, special teams, whether it's the line, whether it's the possession players, you don't know that they're wrong yet. I don't know if yelling at your coordinators is necessarily a good look. And I don't want to twist this. If the coaches believe that it's just a motivation thing, that's fine by me. The more beneficial criticism, the better. I just hope that he does trust his coordinators and sometimes even lets them override his decision because that's what makes an offense and a defense healthy on a team is trial and error. And you can incorporate your own feng shui to it, obviously, but trust your guys that you hire.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because my first thing that, they need to avoid, I think Coach Schiano needs to do something different this year. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I think he's a fantastic coach and a fantastic person, but I think that he's going to have to adapt something in his coaching style to get these players to be more consistent and to get the best out of his team. And I think that might be it might be adjusting the way he views the offense. It might be delegating borders coordinators. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But I think that is a factor that's going to weigh on their success.
And it's funny you say that because my number 4 thing is don't be afraid to change what isn't working. But while you were saying that, it made me think maybe with Ethan Kaliakmanis, you hire a guy just for him, right? Because he is a starter this year. He will be starting the final game of the season as well, barring injury. He's not going to get benched unless he performs historically atrocious, which I statistically imagine isn't possible given his trajectory the past 3 years, last year at Rutgers, 2 years prior at Minnesota. And you work with him, you figure out why were we 7-6 last year when we could have been 9-4, 10-3. We could have been 5-9 or no, not 5-9, 5-8 or whatever. But you hire a guy just for Ethan. But when it comes to, I guess before I delve into my number 4 point, what do you think of that?
I agree with you. And my number 2 point was that Ethan has to emerge as a true leader of the team, and particularly on the offensive side. And he's got to play like a leader. He's got to distribute the ball effectively, and he's got to really, take ownership over this Rutgers team and emerge as someone who leads the team and that inspires the trust and confidence of the players.
Yeah, and Jason, it's funny you say this, that they need to be better in the return game. We've fair caught too many times because we mentioned a possible change in the depth chart in terms of kick returning, and we got grilled for it on YouTube. I believe it was one of our viewers, Tom. Oh my God, he grilled us because he was like, "Do you guys even watch the games? They fair catch every time." We know they fair catch a lot, but you still have some returns because whether you like it or not, sometimes a kicker will squib kick. Sometimes they'll do a bad kick and make you return it, or sometimes they just don't have enough power. So yes, they do need to be better in the return game. And Adam, I think you're right. I almost called you Ethan because I was going to say I agree with your point about Ethan, and I believe that happens via change. I believe we need to change what isn't working. in the aspect of, say, Antoine Raymond has 10 carries for 12 yards and 2 fumbles. I hope that does not happen. And if that happens, maybe have a game where you go to CJ Campbell, 15 times, and you go to Raymond 2 or 3 times and see, can Raymond capitalize on his snaps? If KJ Duff or Ian Strong aren't cutting it on the outside, maybe switch DT onto the outside. Maybe bring in Ben Black. And especially with the tight ends, with Kenny Fletcher and Colin Weber being so neck and neck in terms of talent, don't be afraid to change them too, or do 2 tight end sets. I mean, we have a benefit this year that we haven't had in a long time, which is we can change guys out and not drop off in talent.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Those are great points. And I think one of the things that I think they have to avoid this year is, I think this is my third reason, they cannot leave points on the field.
Yeah.
And that means, Patel has to be a very consistent field goal kicker. But in addition to that, when they have the ball in an opponent's territory on the 38, 40-yard line, I don't want, they can't get into a position where they have to punt because they couldn't get a first down or really drive the ball deep into the red zone. So I think minimizing the points that you leave on the field is important.
Makes sense. And I was going to talk about Jai Patel, but I feel like it's kind of a given that you want your kicker to be good at kicking, So I stayed off of that. My number 3 point is ironically a little contradictory to my point with Shiano, and don't be afraid to change what isn't working. And that is for this team to be patient with one another. If you have a problem with a guy and you want to settle it, you either talk to your coaches or you talk to him man to man, but don't be toxic about it. Don't say a guy isn't talented. Don't say he needs to just do better. And this sounds like very simple stuff, but you learn it in elementary school. That doesn't mean you apply it as a grown man. You need to make sure that you're applying this. And it seems like Rutgers football does have a very good chemistry. I see it on Instagram. Guys are making jokes with each other. Where you'd think maybe if it was just 2 friends hanging out, they cross the line. But it's all love at the end of the day, especially when it comes to football. I just want this team to be patient with one another. If Patel were to miss a kick, if Raymond were to fumble a ball, if Ethan has, God forbid, a 3 interception day, you don't make fake YouTube accounts commenting that Ethan should have done better. Instead, you tell him like a grown man, look, it wasn't your best day, but I believe in you. You're my teammate. You're here for a reason. So that's all I have to say about that point.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Another great point. I think, this was my 4th point. They have to stay in the moment. Okay? So if you have a bad play, and this relates to what you were saying, you cannot let it affect your next play.
No.
They need to be focused on staying in the moment and treating every play, independently, and not letting either the scoreboard, a turnover, a bad play, a missed assignment affect how they're playing now. So staying in the moment and having that mental discipline, I think, is very important for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 2 point is let the young guys have an equal say, but definitely check them when they overstep. And I say that, look, obviously being a professional football player, and it's college, but college is pretty much semi-pro at this point with NIL deals. Being a professional football player, it takes much more skill than being a fraternity man. But as a fraternity man on a team, I saw as a young guy, my peers being a little bit nervous, right, of the older guys on the team, so to say, for this comparison. But then I also saw some overstepping, and they welcomed us in. My Theta Chi brothers welcomed us in. And that's what I've seen out of this Rutgers team, is welcoming in the young guys, the ones who reclassified to 2025, the Wadiq Colliers. Exactly, Jason, stay on the moment, a.k.a. keep chopping. Well done, sir. And I believe that it was DT Sheffield, who said that that he's seen his peers on the team leading the young guys in a tremendous way, and so I'm happy about that. And it's definitely something to avoid, even though it's nothing that we've crossed the line with yet. We got to keep the young guys in check, know their place, but definitely let them have their opinions. I'm very anti-hazing. If you do petty hazing here and there, whatever, but like let the young guys in the locker room at the same time. No tagging out for the locker room. No extra exercise. None of that. Like just do what the coach says. Bond as a team and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm against hazing too. There's nothing productive that comes from that. What I'll tell you, what's productive is when you have upperclassmen who lead and inspire and welcome. So my last point is a very simple one. Second half adjustments. Rutgers has to do a better job at halftime of making the adjustments so that they can, deal with the game that they're playing. And, how good, Nick Saban was famously good at adjusting at halftime.
Oh, yeah.
How good is that staff going to be? I think that's going to be critical because there's going to be a number of very close games. So I think second half adjustments are very critical.
Yeah, that's a great point, especially, oh, man, I keep bringing up the freaking Illinois game, but especially when you're up so much. You're up so much against a better team, and you can't close the deal out, especially after a comeback drive by Ethan that, despite one ball that almost got picked off, looked picture perfect.
Right.
I'm a big proponent of adjustments. And my number 1 point is we can't rely on one guy on offense unless they're in like a hot zone or whatever. They call it a heat check. And if they're in a heat check, sure, rely on one guy. If DT makes 6 straight catches in 2 drives, keep feeding them the rock. But if you're throwing it to the same guy, if you're being predictable on offense, and we have just too much depth for that.
Yeah, I think that's – go ahead.
I was going to say, we have between Ethan's running ability, CJ Campbell, Antoine Raymond, Deshaun Benjamin, 4. That's 4 guys. And then we also have DT, 5, KJ Duff, Ian Strong, Ben Black, Famatere unfortunately got injured. And that's 8 guys. And then we also have Kenny Fletcher, Colin Weber. That's 10 guys that I am comfortable giving the ball to if we're down 3 points in the final drive of a game. So that's too much spreading the ball around potential to keep giving it to one guy.
Yeah, and I think that's why the offense is going to be better this year than last year, because last year, I mean, if you're game planning for Rutgers, what are you thinking? Stop Kyle Monangai. And
stop Kyle Monangai, stop Ethan from escaping the pocket, and that's it.
Yeah, and credit to Monangai, who had a great year and is now the number 2 running back for the Bears. Wish him the best, of course. But I think we were a little bit one-dimensional last year, and this year I think it's going to be quite multi-dimensional, and that's going to make a big difference, particularly in those close games.
Yeah. So your number 1 was the halftime
adjustments.
Sounds good. Yeah. So you guys follow that, and
because how many games did we lose in the second half?
Yeah, too many.
The great discussion.
I want to say at least 3 games. I feel like it's been at least 3 games last year.
Yeah. I mean, Nebraska.
Wisconsin, right?
Wisconsin was up at the end of the first half, but
I know Illinois.
The trend continued in the second half with Wisconsin. So, and then Illinois, they regressed in the second half. And then against UCLA, it was kind of like both halves were kind of the same, where, Ethan Garber's just in that offense.
Also, you want to know something else heartbreaking? I forgot to mention for our rankings. We lost the Rate Bowl to Kansas State. They're ranked 11 this year.
They're ranked 11?
11.
Is their quarterback coming back? If he is, that might be a big
research. All I did was, let me see, Kansas State depth chart. It is Avery Johnson. Wow,
yeah,
same name as Spurs point guard Avery Johnson from the 90s.
Yeah. So, I could see Kansas State, and we had a great first half against them. It's just that what happened in the second half.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying about the adjustments. It's like I know that last year Kansas State was a legit team, no question, and I know that in the second, I know we struggled with injuries and lack depth. So there's only so many adjustments you can make if you don't have the personnel. But I think this year we do have the personnel, and I think those adjustments will be critical to winning those close games.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about how much tougher this year's schedule is, but what keeps me motivated and keeps me having good faith is how well we played the games last year against teams that were on paper better than us. Even though we didn't close it out, very similar to the Aaron Rodgers Jets, we kept in it. And unlike the Aaron Rodgers Jets, that didn't feel like a disappointment.
And if you're in it, that means you can win it. And
exactly.
That's we got to do.
We lose. We both put up 40+ points. Nebraska, better team than us. Better quarterback at the time for sure. Probably again next year. We keep it close there, ugly close. Wisconsin is ranked above us, and we should have won that game. UCLA is ranked above us, and we should have won that game. There's a lot of games last year that we faced a better team, but we really could have won.
Yeah,
that's why I'm thankful for this year.
We lose by 7 in Lincoln. We lose by, I believe it was 3 against the Bruins.
Yeah.
We lose on the last play or the second to last play against Illinois.
Who's ranked 13. I forgot to mention them.
So we have the capability, but it comes down to those little things that make a huge difference. So it's going to be exciting to see how it plays out this year, especially with a tougher schedule and these games now, several of them on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully,
Right.
If like 8 or 9 of these 10 points are never in question, we'll have a good year.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Gabe, great discussion. All 3 segments. Any final thoughts as we march towards next Thursday and the opening game of the season?
It's coming up really quickly. And you're definitely right. The real MVP 24, is that a tribute to Kobe Bryant? Yes, that is a huge difference. And unfortunately, it's the difference between 9-3 and 3-9 because our schedule is grueling this year, and it's mostly made up of 50-50 games.
Yeah. Dariel, great to see you, and absolutely right. Consistency, and we've talked about it for both the team, for Ethan Kaliakmanis. Consistency is going to be key this year, and I think that we're going to see an improvement in that area. But at the same time, we're going to have, a lot of road games, Washington, Illinois, and we've got some tough home games. We're going to Columbus too. So I think they have to stay in the moment and take each moment at a time and really build a cohesive team and believe. And Jason, no, you're right. The Wisconsin game was ugly. They just didn't it was not their day, to say the least.
They must have had too many cheese curds before the game.
Yeah, Madison's a pretty nice city too, by the way. I've been there a couple times.
You ever been to Green Bay? Green Bay as a city is okay. Lambeau Field is beautiful. Lambeau Field, it feels like you're entering into like this kingdom.
I would love to go to Lambeau Field, but
yeah, I got to knock that goal out. Thankfully, it's the only. I've only been to 3 stadiums: Lincoln Financial, MetLife, and Lambeau. So
I'm jealous. I would love to go to see Lambeau.
I'll stand on the take that nobody is more dependent on their sports team than Green Bay with the Packers.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll never forget that game at Lambeau Field. It was maybe 2007, maybe, when the Giants went to Lambeau Field in the NFC Championship game. It was like -4 or 5 degrees. I don't know how you play in those conditions, but
it should have. Honestly, those games to me are more dangerous than the snow games.
I agree.
Like I think it was the Chiefs Dolphins last year or 2 years ago that it was -10 and it felt like -30.
Yeah.
You saw what the cast was wearing? The cast was wearing like everything. Like you couldn't even see an inch of their skin.
Yeah, and then there was that game, I believe it was the Seahawks against the Vikings. Remember the Blair Walsh kick?
Yeah. Oh, I hated that at the time. It's just funny now, though.
That was like so cold. I mean,
I was not a fan of the Legion of Boom at the time.
No. But, Pin Snipe Husker, you're exactly right. So, with that, Gabe, and everyone who's watching, we wrap up our show with the 1 week before opening game week. We're going to be on next Monday at 7 p.m. as always, but we will also be on for a pregame show before the Ohio Bobcats. And we're going to be on for a post-game show. So 3 shows next week: Monday, Thursday pregame, Thursday postgame. We hope you'll join us. Hope you've enjoyed the show. If you like it, please hit that like and subscribe button. Until next Monday, go Scarlet Knights.
Go Scarlet Knights. Rest in peace, Rocky.
Rest in peace.